What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy Kenza James. For our new subscribers, you're most welcome, and for the old bees, you know the drill. So today we are going to be learning how to cut a jumpsuit. I'm going to be doing another video where we'll learn how to sew it, but just so the video doesn't get too long, we are just going to be cutting today. So we'll be using a tape, which I tell you, this is the tailor's stethoscope, a pair of scissors, a fabric. As you can see, I'm using this stretch fabric and it's really thick, so and it's a little bit stretchy, so that's what I'll be using. You can use any fabric of your choice. So we'll be needing a ruler, then a chalk, and your measurements. So that's what we'll be needing. If you've not seen my video for how to take body measurements, for you to know what measurements you'll be needing, I'll be linking it in the description box below, so you can do well by checking that video, because we are going to be needing more measurements like the crouch measurement and the lap measurement. So you go and check that video so that you don't get lost in this entire process. So let's get into the video proper. So guys, we are going to start by cutting the top part, that's the blouse part of the jumpsuit. You know, jumpsuit is a combination of a blouse and a pant, so we are going to be cutting the blouse part first. And we're not going to be using the regular dart, which is the waist to bust dart. We're going to be using the side dart, which is from below the armhole to the bust side. So that's the kind of dart we are going to be using. So let's get into our cutting proper. So guys, I've gone ahead to rule my half length measurement. That's the measurement for the blouse part, that's the top part of it. Here I'm cutting the front piece now. I have 17.5 inches in total, but I'm going to be using 16.5 for the length. So because we are going to be putting our dart at the side, we'll need this 1 inch for that dart that we'll be putting, because the dart is going to take out of the length. So let's go into it proper. Now we are going to be inserting our 3 inches standard for the neck width, 3 inches standard, then 8 inches standard, then 1 inch for shoulder slant. Here we'll be connecting our 3 inches and our 3 inches with the 1 inch for shoulder dart. So the person's shoulder is not actually up to 16, we have 15 inches, so I'm going to be taking out half an inch from here. Is on fold, so it's supposed to be 1 inch, but because it's on fold, I'm taking out half an inch, so which means her shoulder measurement is 7.5. So I'm going to be inserting her armhole. Arm round divided by 2 is 14 inches divided by 2. We have 7 inches here, like this, 7 inches. So I'm going to put that 7.5 of her shoulder line here, just so I can rule this into a straight line. So here we go. So basically this is the number one thing to do. So we are going to find the distance from her shoulder to her bust point. Now the distance from the shoulder to the bust point in our measurement, we have 10 inches. So I'm going to be putting 10 here, 10 here, then I rule it into a straight line. Like this. Remember, we are working on quarter of the body, that's 1/2 of the front side, so don't forget our fabric is on fold. So here we have our bust point. Then we are going to take our shoulder to under bust, which is 13 inches. Here we have 13. We're going to go ahead and mark 13, then draw it into a straight line like this. So now I'm going to insert my bust span measurement. Her bust span is 7 inches divided by 2, because the fabric is on fold. is 3.5, so here we have 3.5 here. So now for us to take our side bust measurement, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on the bust line here, 1/2 inch here on both sides. Then I'll just mark it and leave it there first until I'm able to insert my horizontal measurement. So let's go into our horizontal. So now we're going to insert her bust measurement, that it will be on this line here. And if you remember, whatever we have here, 8 inches, we are going to insert it here and rule it into a straight line so that we can insert her bust measurement, which will be on the armhole line. So her bust is 33. We are going to be dividing 33 into 4. We'll take 33 by 4. We have 8.25. Insert it here, 8.25. Then we'll insert her waist measurement or her affluent, which is 25. Divide by 4, sorry. We have 6.25, like so. So I'm going to, here we have 8.25. I'm bringing that 8.25 here also. Then I'll rule this 1/2 inch here that we marked here into a straight line to meet that measurement. We'll mark this one into a straight line like this. Then I'm going to connect this into a straight line. That's from her bust measurement. I'll connect it to the waist measurement like so. So I'm going to add 1 inch for sewing allowance on each side. 1 inch sewing allowance here. Connect it into a straight line like this. Then this 1/2 inch that we took here for the dart, I'm going to take 1 inch away from the bust point. I'm taking 1 inch away so that I can connect my line. So I'll be connecting that 1/2 inch to these points, these new points that we have here, into a dart. So you can see, let me trace it out properly for you to see. So here is our dart now at the side. So on this side now, the midpoint here, I'm going to take out this 1 inch that we added here. It does not affect this side, so I'm taking it out just so you don't have anything gathering on that point. So I'm taking out that 1 inch. Then I'll cut it off into a slant like this. See, I'll just cut it off. Then I'll insert my neck round measurement. It's going to be a turtleneck blouse, so I'm using 3 inches for the neck round, 3 by 3. So I'm just going to connect it round like this. Then I'll mark half of the shoulder line, which is 3.5. Then I'll connect my armhole from there into a curve like this, a very tiny curve from here. Now this is the front armhole, so on the half of the shoulder line, I'm going in by 1/2 inch, because usually the front side of the armhole is cut inner than the back side. That's it will go in a little more than the back side, just to avoid folds at the front. So I'm just going to connect it like this. So here we have it. At the back side, we are not going to be having this, so I'm just going to cut this out. This is our front piece. just cut it out. With a little bit of sewing allowance here. So there you go. This is our front piece. Now let's cut the back piece. So for the back part of the upper bodies, I folded it into two also, like this. I just cut it out to avoid all that bulkiness of fabric here. So I'm going to be inserting the length now. Now here's the thing. In the front side, we had 17.5 for the length because of that side that we added, and we paid it over at this side. So now at the back side, we are not going to have that, so I'm just using 16.5. I'll just go ahead and mark 16.5 like this. Mark 16.5. Roll it into a straight line. Like this. Then I'm taking out 1 inch for zip allowance, 1 inch for my zip allowance. Then I'll rule it like this. Then we insert our 3 inches standard neckline, 8 inches standard shoulder line, 1 inch standard shoulder slope, then 7 inches for her armhole like this. Then I'll connect this shoulder slant to the 3 inches shoulder line, normally just like the front piece. Then her shoulder measurement 15 inches, which is 17.5, which is 7.5, sorry. I'm bringing down that 7.5 here to allow me rule this into a straight line. Like so. Then we measure whatever is here. We have 8.5, bringing down 8.5 here. Connect it into a straight line like so. Then we're going to find half of her shoulder line, 7 inches. Sorry, this measurement is 8, not 8.5, 8. So which means we have a little mistake here. 8. So I'll just connect it properly. Ignore this other line. Half of her shoulder line, 3.5. Then we'll insert her bust measurement, which is 8.25, like this. Then this 1 inch for sewing allowance. Now the waist is 25 divided by 4. We have 6.25. Now at the back side, I'm going to be adding a dart on the lower side, on this side, instead of the side dart. So I'm adding 1 inch for that, then 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then I'm just going to connect that into a straight line. Mark it into a straight line. Go ahead and put the curve here. It's very tiny, but it's okay. Then for the back side, I'm using 1 inch for the neck depth, connecting it to these 3 inches here, like this. So here we go. This is our back panel. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. Little allowance here for joining the shoulder. Open this zip allowance that we have here. Cut it open. Cut out. So for the pant side, I've gone ahead to fold it in half like this. Then I marked my waistline. I took the entire length of the pants. The length is supposed to be 59 inches, so I took out minus 16 inches for the upper bodies. That's the full length of the jumpsuit, supposed to be 59, so minus the 16 inches for the upper body. Then you room up to 59 like so. So I have this excess down here. I'll shift it when I'm done working on it for you to see. So I marked my waist, then the crouch length, which is 13 inches, I marked it here. Then from the waist of the pants to the knee, 22 inches, then the full length, which I have over there. So now I've marked that. Then the first thing I'm going to be doing is to take out my sewing allowance, half of an inch, which I marked here, another half inch on the hip line, which I have here. Then I'm going to be inserting quarter of my hip measurement. The hip is 37, so I'm going to be dividing 37 by 4 because I'm working on one part of the pants. Then here we have it 9 1/4. Mark 9 1/4 here. That's what we have. That's I'm marking from the sewing allowance, not from the beginning of the fabric. So then I'm going to be inserting my lap measurement. For the lap measurement is going to be half of the lap measurement. That's you divide the lap by 2, but the waist and the hip you divide it by 4. Then the knee and the base you divide it by 2. So get it properly. It's only the waist and the hip that you divide by 4. As for the lap, the knee and the base of the trouser you divide by 2. So for the lap is 22, I'm dividing it by 2 is 11 inches. So here we have it here marked out 11. Then whatever I have here, that's the hip measurement that I have here, 9 1/4. I'm going to bring it here. Then from this sewing allowance, I will put my 9 1/4 here. Then I'm going to take half inch inwards to avoid bulkiness here. So from this line, I'm going to be marking down to this point here, but I'm going to leave this one for sewing allowance. That's to join the front, the two fronts together. So I'm just going to mark it like this into a straight line, like this. That's not clear. Let me just I'm having difficulty ruling that because the fabric is stretchy. So you can just go in with your French cuff to make a cuff here, but I don't have a French cuff on me, so I'm just going to gently curve it out like that. So let's continue. So on this point now, on this waistline, you know that this her hip measurement can't be her waist measurement. So her waist is 25. I'm going to be dividing 25 by 4. So I'll divide it by 4. Then from this point here, which we took in, that's half an inch, I'm going to be inserting her waist measurement, which is 6 1/4. If you want to add a dart, you can add a dart here, but I'm definitely not adding a dart here. So this half an inch here, I'll now bring it over here, half an inch here, sewing allowance. Then if you have your hip cuff, you go ahead and connect this point and this point. So I don't have my hip cuff, so I'm going to try my best to just connect it into a fine line like so. So here we have it. As you can see, it's gradually looking like a pant already. So I'm going to find half of this, that's from this point here. We have 11 inches, that's to the seam allowance point. Then I'll look for half of that, half of 11 inches, that will be 5.5. So from here I'll mark 5.5 here. Then I'll calculate, whatever it is that it's here, the half of the entire thing, which is 11 and half. So it's 11 and half divide by 2. Here we have it. Then I'm bringing that same measurement here, 5 3/4 on the knee line. So on the knee length now, I'm going to check what's the knee round. The knee round is 16 inches. So I have 16 inches divided by 2, which is 8. Then I'm going to divide that 8 in half, 4 inches. Then I'll insert 4 here and then 4 on this side. So I'll just pick my ruler, connect this point. Now if you notice, I didn't add any seam allowance. I'm not adding any seam allowance on the knee point. So I'll just gently curve this. I'm supposed to use a hip curve, but I don't have that. So I'll just gently curve this. Just make a nice curve into the knee. So this is our knee point. As you can see, we are gradually having a pant. So I'm going to shift. So I've gone ahead to shift my fabric so that you would see. On this point here, you can see I've ruled this side is going to be my hemming allowance. I'm going to use it to fold the tip of the trouser. So what I have here, is 5 3/4. So I'm just going to add that 5 3/4 here. Have the same thing here. So this line is going to be the middle of the pants, the middle side. So for the hem, I want it to be 20 inches. So I'm going to have 20 divided by 2 is 10. So on the middle side, I'll put 5 on both sides. So here we have it, because I want the down part of the trouser to be wide. So here we have it, we have 10. Then I'm going to rule that into a straight line. Just rule that for you to see properly. So I'll just mark here also. So here we have the down. You can see is a little open. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out now. For this side, I'm just going to mark it straight because I'll be folding it. So I'll just get my scissors, move my table, then cut it out. Going to just do this to be sharp. I'll just curve it neatly. cut this side. I'm just going to cut this out. And move it up so I can cut the upper side. This fabric is quite weighty, so you have to do this carefully. If your workspace is as small as mine, you can actually cut your fabric on the floor to avoid all this stress. So when I get to this point, I'm going to add a sewing allowance, which will be about 1/2 inch. You can measure that out. Sorry, my earring just pulled off. So here we have the front panel. You can see. I'm just going to go ahead and keep this aside, fold my fabric, then bring it back to cut the back panel. Because even this one, we are not yet done. We still have to work on this, but we'll have to cut the back panel first. So I've gone ahead and I've folded my fabric for my back side. I picked my front panel and just placed it here and leaving this allowance here. So first off, for the back side, we are going to determine the crouch extension. So for the crouch extension, her hip measurement that we inserted here was 37 divided by 4, which is 9 1/4. So 9 1/4. This half mark we placed here, you bring your measurement tape and put that 9 1/4 that is there to this point. So whatever you get extra here, you mark it there. So this is now our hip, our crouch extension. I'll just extend this line, this crouch line here on the back side of the trouser like this. That's the first extension. Then on your knee line, you add 2 inches for sewing allowance, because you know we didn't add sewing allowance on the knee side, so we'll add 2 inches. We are going to add that to the hem length too, but before then, let's finish up the upside. If you remember, we added 1/2 inch for sewing allowance, so which means it's also okay for that. So we are going to add 1 inch here for zip allowance. We are going to use this 1 inch for zip allowance. Then we'll go 1 inch here, 1 inch. When you get to this side, you can actually take out 1/4 inch here to just give it extra shape, like so. Instead of that 1 inch, I'm going to minus 1/4 inch from 1 inch there. Then you go over here, 1 inch. Then you curve this side. You mark this side into a curve like this. Then you go ahead and join these marks together like this. So here we have it. Now on the upper bodies, you just go ahead and mark this side too on the back like this. Then on the upper bodies, we are going to take out 1/2 inch here for better fit. So you connect from here, from this point, in a slight curve like this. Then we'll take our scissors, cut out that half inch that we took from the front side. We'll cut it out like this. So that is why, it's just because of this line, that's why we left that earlier. Then with your ruler, you connect this point to this side straight at the back. Now I'm not going to be raising this side because when I fix the zip, I don't want any bulge of fabric to be left there. So I'll just go ahead and connect this one in a slight cuff. If you have your hip cuff, you can do that to meet this measurement here. Now I'm going to cut out the front, the upper side, so that I can move it and cut the lower side. So I'm not adding any darts. If you're adding that at the back of your own, you can add your dart allowance here, but right now I'm not adding any darts. I'm going to go ahead and add that 2 inches sewing allowance here at the hem length. Then I'll connect from here to here with a ruler. Like that. Then I'll go ahead and cut that out. Here we have our front and our back. Our front and our back. That's the other front. This is the 2 fronts and then the 2 backs. Then here we have the upper bodies, the front and the back panel. Guys, this is it about cutting a jumpsuit. So thank you so much for watching. Please, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever we have a new video up on the channel. Bye, see you.